I have a new favourite book. I'm obsessed. I need more books from this author. It is my second 5-star read of the year after The Goldfinch. Dare I say this is better than The Goldfinch? At least to me. I could not get enough of this. Like, easily my number one book of the year so far. It is Perfume by Patrick Süskind. Oh my goodness. The density of brilliance, the uniqueness, like
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before, unafraid to reference or not reference, put it in a blender, shit on it, vomit on it, eat it, give birth to it.
it's like if Kafka and Dostoevsky had a sex dream and Camus was just sat in the corner, just watching. And together they created this feat of existentialist, alternative, fever dream, thought experiment. It's some next level stuff. Like, because I love that this book clearly started out as how can I make a story that focuses on one of the five senses? And then somewhere along the road, it became something else. It's so, like, the depravity of it. Yes. And it's historical fiction done right, because of late I've read a few books that have tried to take you to a certain time and place and have failed massively. So I really respected this book for being set in 18th century France, right at the Age of Enlightenment, which is a historical period that I always enjoy. But more than anything, it understood the tone of that age. I was shocked to discover that this book was published in the 1980s, more than 200 years after the time period that it is referencing. Because the writer gets it, you know? The actual style of this book, bags and bags of it, style to spare. And I love that every time the story was in danger of leaning into a very tired trope, it would completely do a 180 and go in an unexpected direction. So it starts, our main character, Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, he is your typical, like, sad underdog orphan, like, he's a nobody wants anything to do with him, because he has no scent. Strangely enough, the boy has no scent, and at first you think it's just going to be like a typical Billensgroman. He's going to, you know, find his way in the world, etc., etc. No, it's so much more bleak. Like, he is not a nice person at all, but he's not really. He's self-interested, but he has no sort of, like, higher power. Like, the book admonishes religion, loved it. The book was so faithless and didn't need any, like, cookie cutter heroes and villains story. It was just scent. This book does such a great job of showing how underrated scent is as one of the five senses, because it's so integral to who you are as a person. Your olfactory nerve is one of the only nerves in your body that goes straight to the brain, and it goes to certain parts that are involved with memory, and that's why certain smells can be so evocative and can take you back to a certain time or place in your life. Like, I immediately think of Marcel Proust, the famous scene with the Madeleine, that whole concept of a scent, and so much as well of your taste as well, flavour. Most of that comes from scent, you know? There are people who go through life with anosmia, and it can be so severe on their mental health that they try to commit suicide, because scent is such a imperative part of your identity. And I love that this book, it's such a refreshingly weird take on nihilism, the way that the main character is trying to search for meaning but can't because he doesn't have a scent. And so he ends up doing all of these very twisted, horrendous things. I mean, the ending, can I just say, there is nothing more satisfying than making a prediction about how you want the book to end, and then it ends in the exact way that you envisioned. So satisfying, because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, okay, this character's done all these despicable things, which I'm going to try not to go into too much detail with, because I really think you should read this if you haven't. But then in my mind, I'm like, oh, this ending could be so satirical and dry, and it could do this thing, and it did. It went full Caligula. It was upsetting, and I loved it. Now, if we are going to criticise Perfume, I know that some people find this book to be a bit male gazy in quite a creepy, perverse way, because the main character, he is a serial killer. He murders lots of people, and he takes their scents from them. So after they're dead, he spends like the next 6 hours trying to draw out their scent because he picked them specifically because they smelled so good. Strangely though, he only picks like virginal, often red-headed young girls. And so people complain that that's a bit male gazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving the book too much credit. I think it's a lot more intelligent than that, because our main character, Grenouille, he never once molests his victims. It's purely for the scent. And so I almost think that this writer was making fun of the male gaze by having all of the victims follow this very cliche, very typical identity of what's considered beautiful by societal standards, particularly when, as we get to the end, it becomes so much more, I don't even want to say queer, but it just becomes so much more like love is for everyone, like everyone gets involved in it. I don't really want to spill the beans on that one because it was so great. But oh man, this book. I was caught so unaware by how brilliant this was. It's one of those where I now have to like look into Patrick Süskind and be like, okay, what other books has this person written? Because I am going to have to completely clear out this person's bibliography. And he's still alive, apparently. He's still alive. Like, what an icon. Yes, absolutely. Like, this book, this could be your new religion. Like, it's so fantastic from beginning to end. Like, I was worried in the middle it kind of dips because he leaves the big city. He leaves Paris because he was working under Baldini, who was like this master perfumier, not sure. And he goes like into the wilderness and spends 7 years like living in a cave. And you're kind of like, what's going on? But at the same time, you love it because the book is taking a big swing and it's not afraid to make these strange artistic decisions. Like, it's not following a cut and dry 3-act story, if that makes sense. Like, it's not trying to fit in with other expectations of, oh, this is how the character should go through their life and do X, Y, and Z. Like, it was so unafraid and bold to like do things that I've never seen before in a book, and just the way that it explored the sense of smell. Like, my God, what a book. What a feat of storytelling. Like, the wonder, the absolute wonder